I headed to the hills after learning of my wife's affair. I don't exactly know why I'm writing this, but now that the events are over and done and I've moved on, maybe it will help someone. In February 2018, I stumbled upon a revelation in the mail, discovering that my 30-year-old wife was having an affair after 3.5 years of marriage. I held a contract job that required occasional travel, but also permitted me to work from home when I returned. Meanwhile, my wife held a lucrative position as the director of a technical sales firm. We had what I would characterize as a genuinely good marriage, although it became somewhat strained due to my frequent work trips and her increasingly demanding work hours. Going back a bit, I met my now ex-wife 5 years ago at a mutual friend's barbecue. We engaged in conversation, and there was an instant chemistry. Honestly, I felt like I was defying the odds by being with such a beautiful and articulate woman. Somehow. She really liked me for my rough around the edges persona. Once we dating after a few weeks, we couldn't get enough of each other and the clothes just flew off when we would meet at each other's apartments. We finally tied the knot after dating for 8 months and moved into a big apartment while saving for a house. After the initial 3 years of marriage, things began to shift. While I still felt strongly for her, I observed that she started picking arguments over minor issues. Whenever I raised concerns about her increasingly late hours and frequent work outings, she would get angry. Her rationale was that it was part of paying her dues as she climbed the corporate ladder. She insisted I had no right to question her given my own weeks-long absences due to work. I assured her that I could reduce my travel hours, and in reality, I was only going on trips for about 3 or 4 days every 5 weeks. However, our arguments remained circular and never found a resolution. In hindsight, I had no clue that my wife was involved in an affair. I would have never suspected anything if not for her persistently late work hours and the decline in our intimate life. I dismissed her fatigue as work-related exhaustion. Nevertheless, my self-esteem suffered from frequent rejections when initiating intimacy. I remained oblivious to the secret texting that I later discovered. Considering she had a company cell phone, it occurred to me that she might have been using it while spending extensive time in our spare bedroom, which she had turned into a home office. It was around September of 2017 when Kathy started coming home after work and then head off to a work engagement for the evening. This went from one evening a week to more than 3 evenings a week. I'm not that jealous by nature, but there is no way she would go unnoticed, and I know she would have to fend off some of the men at her office. Her focus appeared solely on work, particularly collaborating with male executives. My initial suspicion of her infidelity arose a month before the revelation day, D-Day. On that occasion, she made a stop at the store before returning home, and she requested my assistance with the groceries as I retrieved bags from the back seat of her car. I noticed something pink glinting from just underneath the front passenger seat. It was one of my wife's bras. I recognize it as hers, since she liked the ones from a particular apparel store. In retrospect, I now realize the reason for the red flag with the bra. When she gets in the mood, she always takes off her bra first from underneath her clothes. I don't know exactly why, but I instantly just had a sinking feeling in my gut when I saw this. I could not rationalize what her bra was doing under the seat. I just left it there under the seat. It almost made me sick, and my heart must have been racing like crazy because when I returned to the kitchen with the bags, Kathy asked if I was okay, and that I looked like I had seen a ghost. I shrugged off her comment, doing my best not to display any anger or sense of betrayal. Though I concealed my feelings that evening and the following days, I couldn't shake the suspicion. Determined to uncover the truth, I began piecing together the clues, realizing I had no concrete evidence except for the unsettling incident with the bra. We live in a fairly large city, and her work is in a downtown office building. I kind of took my focus off of the affair idea for a bit and decided maybe I should give her more attention. One Friday after work, I made a nice dinner, set up the dining table with nice plates, silverware, and candles. I bought a nice bottle of wine and a bouquet of roses. As usual, she breezed in after work, and I eagerly pointed out the dinner I had prepared. Instead of the enthusiastic response I hoped for, she offered a sad smile and informed me that she had plans to meet up with her coworkers at a local hangout that evening. While suggesting a quick bite together before she left, she mentioned needing to jump in the shower first. I think my insides flipped on me, and I became completely speechless. I won't tell you what kind of rage I was feeling at that point, but I had finally had enough while she was in the shower. I grabbed my company cell phone and planted it in her back seat. I'd been thinking of this lately as a way I could track her location with my personal phone. I went in and dumped the meal in the trash along with the flowers. She came back after her shower, dressed up and looking great as usual. She said, "Okay, let's eat." I told her, "Never mind, go out with your friends." She looked at me strangely and asked if I was mad. I said, I'm disappointed by you never wanting to do anything together. She became angry and told me to quit acting like a child, and that's something snarky about having a short fuse. I stood there letting all this sink in and said, foolish me. I thought you'd like to spend the evening together. For once, she just smirked at me and left in a huff. I took out my other phone and started tracking my work phone. Observing her stopping at the bar, a regular spot for her work buddies, which was about 20 minutes away, I made the impromptu decision to head out and find her car. Confirming my suspicions, her car was indeed parked in the bar's lot. Sitting across the street in my car, I waited anxiously, feeling an unsettling sense of being unlike myself, almost akin to a stalker. But I rationalized I needed to at least satisfy my anxiety about her whereabouts, about an hour after I arrived. I see her coming out of the bar with a man. He looks like one of the execs I've seen from her work. He grabs her and pulls her close and kisses her. My stomach went into knots. My body went completely numb. They head over to another car and get in together. I do my best to follow them as the car pulls out. They travel about 10 minutes away to, you guessed it, a hotel. I pull over on the street next to the hotel. I watch as they get out and head hand in hand into the hotel. I've seen enough. I'm an idiot. I start banging my fist on the steering wheel. That's it. Something inside me went completely blank, and I'm not sure if I blacked out or had an out-of-body experience when I recovered myself. I decided I needed a drink now. This is when my life took a new direction that I would have never guessed. I just started driving out of town, just reliving everything I had just witnessed. Overwhelmed with rage and sorrow, I found myself driving towards the outskirts of town, covering about 30 miles. Seeking solace, I stumbled upon a quaint bar where I took a seat and ordered a drink. My appearance must have mirrored my inner turmoil, as the observant female bartender remarked that I seemed like someone who had been utterly deflated. I have smiled and said, "You could say that." A guy takes a stool next to me and starts up a conversation. I'm not in much of a mood to talk, but something about this guy just made me feel comfortable. We start talking, and after a while, the subject of my wife cheating just tumbles out of my mind. How? I just want to leave her and forget her. He looks at me and slaps me on the back. He says, "Buddy, you are not alone." There happened to me a few years ago. I believe that sometimes these things happen for a reason. And let me tell you, your life can now change either for the better or the worse. It's entirely up to you at this point. Something about him saying this really shook me out of my glum mood. I mean, I know I'm hurting, but I've always been able to see things logically. And he is. So right now we introduce each other. His name is Ray. He is kind of a country guy, but is just the sort of salt of the earth type that I really respect. Ray inquired about my plans to move out, a question that had never crossed my mind until then. The realization hit me that I no longer wanted to be in the same vicinity as my wife. The intense emotions of fight or flight surged within me. Sympathetic to my predicament, Ray offered support and suggested a plan in case I decided to leave at some point. I've got a travel trailer sitting on my property. It's not great, and it could use a bit of fixing up. Why don't you come out and check it out and see if you could see yourself living in something like that? Temporarily, at least. I'll make you a great deal on it. I even have a nice piece of property that you can park it on. You would be doing me a favor to keep an eye on it for me. It might do you some good to get away from your situation. Just a thought. It took me a minute to register his idea. The bartender had been overhearing the conversation and smiles. "Hell, honey," she says. "If I could have escaped my crazy ex-husband years ago, I would have jumped at the chance to go live in his trailer. Anything to just get my head on straight. I feel like I have stumbled into the twilight zone. But maybe this is exactly what I need," I tell Ray. "Yes, I'll think about it and maybe check it out." We part ways after a bit and make plans to meet out at his place in a few days. I started to feel like I have a little bit of perspective and a chance for getting out of what I believe is a nightmare mixed in with a heavy heartache. Absolutely certain, I harbored no desire to reunite with my wife. Infidelity, a reprehensible act, had always been my unwavering boundary. Returning home after the revelation, I sank onto the couch, lost in my thoughts. Kathy emerged and inquired about my whereabouts. I turned to her and asked her where she had been. She says, I went to grab drinks. I asked her point blank, "Are you having an affair?" She looks a little startled, but regains her composure and says, "No, why would you ask me that?" I tell her I heard she may be involved with someone from work. She asks, "Who told you that?" I tell her someone that I know, but would not divulge the name. She just tells me you're being ridiculous and that I'm drunk and delusional and asks me where I've been. I tell her out to a bar to have some drinks with friends. She just stares at me, wanting to ask me more, but just heads back to our bedroom and goes back to bed. Choosing to spend the night on the couch, the weight of her months-long deceit pressed heavily on my mind. Sleep eluded me as vivid, painful images of her with the other man tormented my thoughts. Amidst disgust, hurt, and self-pity, a sudden revelation struck. The prospect of Ray's trailer. This idea, like a comforting beacon, offered solace. I must have something wrong with me, but with the pain I was in, the fight or flight mode just instinctively kicked in, and the flight part won me over the next morning. We don't speak much and go about the weekend as if nothing had happened. A few days later, I made plans to meet up with Ray. I met up at Ray's place. He owns a nice ranch, and the trailer is actually really nice, about 26 feet and has all the necessities one needs to live in it. I had traveled with some friends and one back in college during a spring break and really enjoyed it. I make Ray an offer on it, and he agrees to the price. I practically steal it from him. He gives me directions to his ranch property, and I drive over to check it out. It's beautiful, full of trees, scrub brush, and it looks like there are nearby hiking and biking trails bordering it. It's near the foothills of some mountains, and Ray has a small shack on a hill overlooking the property with water and electricity for the trailer available. Ray will tow the travel trailer to the designated site and handle its setup. In the ensuing weeks, my attempts to coax honesty from Kathy are met with gaslighting. Despite my direct warning that infidelity will sever our ties permanently, her response is to delve further into the affair, enshrouding herself in denial and perpetuating the emotional fog. The denial is so bad it almost made me laugh. I have no physical proof of her cheating and kicked myself for not at least taking some photos of the two of them as I go through this mental agony. I come to the conclusion that I want out of this marriage rather than let Kathy know how I feel about things now. I just start making plans. I started stealthily taking my belongings out of the apartment while she was at work and moving them over to the trailer. This at least makes me feel like I'm taking action. I did notice a change in Kathy during this time and has been acting nicely around me, but in my mind, too little, too late. As she continued her little company outings after work, I decided I too needed a break. In fact, as she was heading out for the evening, I also got dressed around the same time. She looked at me and asked where I was going. I just said I was meeting up with some friends. She started to ask, and I just told her she didn't know them and she wouldn't enjoy all the shop talk. This is exactly what she would tell me when I would ask if I could join her at one of her office outings. She kind of had a hurt look on her face and says, "Okay, have a nice time." I said I definitely would. Between working on the trailer and meeting up with Ray at the bar, I have started to make more friends. In reality, this situation has resulted in enjoyable moments spent with an engaging circle of Ray's friends and family. To maintain a healthy balance, I've opted to moderate my drinking, steering clear of potential pitfalls. Around this juncture, Kathy informs me of an upcoming work-related trip. The following week, I ask her who is all going and she tells me the executive team and some department heads. I just look at her and tell her I hope she has a really great time with her boyfriend. I kind of wish I hadn't said that. It started a lot of arguing back and forth. In a lot of ways, I wish I knew more about her affair partner. But as Ray put it to me, in the long run, it doesn't matter who the other guy is. It only matters that she decided to step out on you. She burned down the marriage. She can own it or deny it. But facts are facts, brother. Damn. Ray should write this stuff down and publish it for the betrayed. Her work trip provided me with the opportunity to move the rest of my stuff out completely. So after Kathy left for her trip, I gathered everything I had left of any value and put it in my vehicle. I only took essentials like clothes and work-related equipment, leaving behind furniture and personal items. Instead of the detailed note I initially considered, I settled for a brief message on a piece of paper. I hope it was worth it. Placing my wedding ring atop the note, I left it on the kitchen table for her to find. I felt a huge weight come off of me. I felt free. No more hiding the truth. I know I will have some baggage to deal with and some hurt to get over, but I have time to heal now. I just need some space and need to get her out of my life as quietly and quickly as possible. I'm not proud that I never confronted her more or pulled a confession out of her. I never got to yell and scream and curse her. After confessing, I had come to the conclusion in my mind that she didn't deserve me. She disrespected everything we had. Our future plans are history. We were saving for a house and a future family. All of that is gone now. No going back. I don't owe her a damn thing. She can deal with the fallout aftermath. I didn't have an agenda at all. I didn't contact a lawyer or anything. I just wanted to get some clarity. I really enjoyed my new trailer, and the mountainous air was exactly what I needed. In the following week, I took up running again, and it felt great to be alive. I never answered any of Kathy's texts while she was away. There wasn't much to respond to. They were just highlights, such as, "We just landed," or "having a team dinner." She did send a few asking, "Where are you guys?" and "Let me hear from you," etc. The day she returned home, my phone blew up with constant texts and calls. After the first day, her mother even tried calling me. There's only my dad left on my family side, and we aren't close, so she didn't try to get him involved. After the first few crying messages, I never bothered to listen to the rest of her voicemails. Her text consisted of, "What is this? We need to talk. I don't know what you think you know, but there is nothing going on. I'm not involved with anyone. I'm not having an affair." After a week of not responding, she finally leaves me a text saying, "I'm sorry. Things got out of hand. I was involved with someone at work, but it meant nothing. I got caught up in my work and you were gone a lot, and I just made a mistake. I was going to end it." Huh? A mistake? This was the confession I had been seeking all along. For some reason, it just made me dislike her even more. Why couldn't she be honest? This wasn't the woman I had dreamed of, building a future together. And mistakes don't last for, what, 6 to 8 months or a year? At one point, her pleading for me to come back and work on the marriage became pathetic. She stopped bothering me for a couple of weeks, and I continued to ignore her. I didn't want her to extract information about my whereabouts, preserving my sanctuary. However, one day, she began sending me furious texts, accusing me of being a coward, stating that I wouldn't talk to her, and claiming that I didn't care about us. "Please come home so we can talk. Where are you? I can come to you. Damn it, Paul, please. Let's talk and fix things." I don't remember all the messages, but they all seemed to be excuses and very little in the way of apologies. I let it all go in one ear and out the other. I finally changed my cell phone number. Update June 2018. Kathy sent me an email telling me she had retained a lawyer and was filing for divorce. I sent her a reply that said, "Okay, sounds good." This resulted in a flurry of emails demanding I come see her and so forth. She realized this wouldn't get her anywhere, and after a while she just wrote that if I agreed to an uncontested divorce, she wouldn't bother me anymore. I agreed, and several months later, finally, I was truly a free man. I never had to see her after I left our apartment. No closure for either of us, but it seemed like that was more important to her than to me. For a few months, I did think of her sometimes. And yes, the pain would appear out of nowhere. If a song we used to listen to came on the radio, it used to trigger memories. However, eventually I stopped thinking about her. In an update, I can happily say that I am officially divorced now. Things are going really well. In fact, I've met a fantastic girl. I encountered her while out on a run on the trail just down the hill from where I live. I helped her change a flat tire, and we really hit it off. She is amazing and cute as hell. Though a few years younger than me, she loves my lifestyle and calls me her mountain man. I'm in no hurry to get serious, but I'm not about to give up on women completely. I'm still up here in the trailer. I have no plans to change anytime soon, and I've simplified my life quite a bit. I love the outdoors. It helped me get over my ex-wife, the heartache, everything. I know everyone handles these things differently. I was lucky to not have children yet and was only into my third year of marriage, so I think I did what was right for me. You don't have to live your life with a cheater. If something like this happens to you, please just don't dwell on it. Just move on with your life. It gets better after you work on yourself. I wish everyone the best life they can have. Pete, you handled it perfectly. And Ray is a ray of hope. Your guardian angel, OP, shared a small update. I appreciate the supportive comments. Unfortunately, this story reflects a harsh reality. Concerning my ex, we haven't had a direct conversation since the divorce. I receive occasional emails, but I choose not to respond. While curiosity tempted me to consider replying, I refrained. However, approximately 3 weeks ago, I bumped into a mutual friend who mentioned that Kathy was not a happy camper. Unlike me, laughter ensued. She said that my ex had told her that I will always be the one that got away, and if she ever got the chance, she would try to win me back and tell me everything that went on. I didn't press the friend for too much detail, but I do have more info that I'm a bit hesitant to share. Now to the big update. Is my ghosted ex-wife possibly tracking me down? Just wanted to update on the situation I found myself in with my ex-wife and have rewritten this about 5 times to make it legible. As mentioned in my previous post, I was concerned that my ex-wife was trying to track me down in an attempt to reconcile or something. I had moved some 2 hours from where we used to live. I saw her last weekend in a coffee shop I go to frequently in the town that is near to where I live. I was suspicious that it was not a coincidence that she was there. Luckily, I was able to leave before she saw me. Update, I came back into town this past weekend to grab a few groceries, and went to grab a coffee in the place I usually go to, as well as work on some documents I needed to fill out for work using their free internet. Exiting the coffee shop, I headed towards my truck. Suddenly, I heard my name being called, Paul. Glancing across the street, my heart sank. There she was, Kathy, my ex, waving at me. It felt like the apocalypse had arrived. Stunned, I stood frozen as she dashed across the street, expecting a hug. Instinctively, I held my arms out with palms facing outward. And she stops. She looks at me, really hurt. She then says, "Paul, I have been looking for you. I heard you moved out here and wanted to see you. Can we talk?" I feel like a trapped animal, guys. I really did. So I relented and said, "Okay, let's find a table or something and we can talk for a minute." She asks if we can go to my place, and I just flat out said no. She follows me down to a bench outside a little shop at the end of the block. She starts by saying how much I've changed and how she loves my new look, my beard, blah blah. She liked how my physique had changed, how I looked so fit. She puts on a good act in guys. She looked hot. She had on these little white shorts and a tank top and her hair in a ponytail like I used to like. My radar was on high alert and I could tell she was really turning on the sex appeal. I had to really rein myself in here and see where this was going. She began with an apology for the affair, acknowledging that karma had struck her hard. Following my departure, her company discovered the affair, creating such an unpleasant environment that she eventually resigned. Her affair partner, who had a fiancé at the time, received a reprimand and was relocated to a different position within the company. Blaming her for his relocation, he lashed out, prompting her to disclose the truth to his fiancé, leading to the end of their relationship. She lowered her head a little and started crying. I just sat there looking around, not having anything to say. She straightened up and stared at me for a bit. I asked her what she wanted from me. She wanted to tell me that she never intended to start an affair, that she felt like she was drawn in by all the politics and positioning in the company, and thought the AP really manipulated her with his charisma and power within the company, and that she stupidly thought she was using him as much as he was using her. She was going to come clean with me, especially after I accused her of having an affair. She hated herself during that time, and the after-work drinking was her attempt to medicate from the guilt that right after I left her, she felt so foolish, so alone, like her heart just imploded with loss. She immediately broke things off with her AP. She believed that since I wouldn't reach out or communicate with her, she had to seek me out to try and make amends. Her intention was to see if we could start over with a clean slate, even though she knew we were already divorced. I just stared at her, and then I confronted her, roughly summarizing our conversation. How dare you think you can just come out here and think you can just wipe away all the crap you cause? I'm to forgive everything you did to ruin our marriage. I told you before, if you cheated on me, we were through. There is no forgiveness. There is no reboot of this relationship. You killed it. You destroyed what we had the minute you stepped out on me. How stupid do you think I am? I followed you one night and saw you go into a hotel together. Do you know that? I then realized that I had been raising my voice and people were starting to notice. She started to sob. She grabbed my arm. I let her cry on my shoulder a little before nudging her away. She looked up at me. I deserve all this. I know I do. Can you at least let me take you to dinner or something? I don't want to leave. I want to talk more. I want to make sure we have everything out in the open. I need time with you that you didn't give me before. Please, Paul. I know you may not want to hear this, but I love you so much. She uttered. I didn't realize how much I loved you until you left me and shattered me, and I shattered you just as badly. I can't forgive myself. I don't want to forgive myself until the day I die. Overwhelmed, she began hyperventilating and sobbing uncontrollably. In an attempt to console her, I pulled her up and embraced her, feeling that it might be the only way to possibly soothe her distress. At that moment, I realized I did actually break her heart like she broke mine. I started walking with her, and then found a nice, quiet path to walk on, and things settled down a bit. I then asked her how she found me and did she hire a PI or something. She laughed a little and said no. She thought about it, though. She ran into Stacy a couple of weeks ago and she asked her how things were going. Stacy let it slip that she saw me. Kathy made her spill every single detail. Stacy didn't want to tell her because I told her not to, but she wouldn't let her go until she did. But all she really knew was that she saw me here in town and that I lived somewhere in the vicinity. So she started coming here on her days off to see if she could find me. She really blushed when she said that. I kind of chuckled. That damn Stacy can't keep her trap shut. So we did go to dinner. We found a nice little place with a patio. I made sure we didn't drink anything. I didn't want any excuse for her to soften me up or claim she was too drunk to drive back. Following our emotional exchange, we engaged in a heartfelt conversation. As I escorted her to her car, she expressed a strong desire to stay, persistently urging me. Despite her assurance that she hadn't been involved with anyone else since my departure, and that I was the only one she wanted, I firmly declined. It felt far too early for me to contemplate reopening that chapter. She begged to see me again, but I was non-committal. I gave her my new email address. But that was it. She wanted my phone number, but I told her, no, you'll just blow it up with texts and calls. She cried about that one. She said she would be back in town next weekend if I was interested. I didn't say anything to that. She said she will email me and tell me all the details of when, where. Before she left, I asked her point blank if she would forgive me if I had done the cheating. She sat there thinking and she said yes, she would in time, but only if we saw a marriage counselor, or if we could work through the healing process with lots of talking and maybe even a binding agreement. I considered her proposition, acknowledging that perhaps in 5 or 10 years, I might be open to revisiting our relationship. She agreed to wait if that's what it would take. Holding my hands, she looked deep into my eyes and uttered something unexpected. God damn it, Paul, I will always love you and will do anything to prove it, she declared. At that, she left. I'm still so shook by that. She said it with such conviction. I still can't see myself back with her. I feel better, though. Right now, I can't even see her as in friends with benefits. Maybe a friend, but damn, I just don't know if we could ever work out again. Don't call me a chump because second chances are rare in my book. I went home and had a nice long run and a few beers and felt I was in a good place now. Can someone guarantee me that she wouldn't ruin that? I don't know. I just don't know. It's too fresh on my mind. But I have the luxury of time to sort all this out and get some perspective. Now to the second update. Okay, so this will probably be my last update. I posted my story on Reddit, but the mod kept removing it. To recap, my ex-wife did find me, and we did talk, after over a year of her being ghosted by me. Her intention in finding me was indeed to reconcile and restart our life together. To those that wrote to me, predicting that I would be the typical BW pill fool and forgive her and fall back in with her, you will be sorely disappointed. She recently sent me a lengthy email expressing her love and remorse for the affair. Once again, she proposed visiting for the weekend. However, I firmly rejected the idea. I found contentment in my solitary lifestyle, residing in my secluded spot, and aim to keep my life as uncomplicated as possible for the time being. I have enjoyed the company of several women and friends, and at 32 feel there is no hurry in changing things up. I have my own self-determination roadmap, and I intend to follow it for now. So in answering her email, I refused to give her my new phone number. I laid it all out. I told her, no, I do not have any intention in reconciling with her. She made her bed, and I no longer trust her, nor do I know her any longer. I wish her the best, and will consider her a possible friend. Maybe someday in a future yet to be determined. My vagueness really frustrated her, so she replied with something very telling. She was, of course, thoroughly disappointed in my response, but she also informed me that she had accepted a job offer several states away, and her real intention all along was for me to come with her. She's aware that my job is remote, allowing me to live anywhere I desire. She believed I might entertain the idea of joining her, envisioning a fresh start in a new location for both of us. With limited time remaining before her departure, she was eager to meet in person and make a compelling case for our potential future together. Fortunately for me, I have to leave for business for a week, so our time is up, thank God. So she will be gone from my life now. I imagine I will get a few more emails for a bit longer, but in time, I believe she will realize her time with me has expired, and she will have to find someone else, and she may cheat on them too. Just thought I would share the update. So guys, live your best life, get rid of that old baggage, and empower yourself to move forward. Good luck to you all. Continue living your best life. Opie Opie posted an update in the comments. Update. Okay, I've been bombarded with update requests, so here it is. I finally had enough of her emails. I told her I'm done with her and do not want anything to do with her ever again. No offense, but it was time to tell her to go find herself. Someone else. Who cares? I won't go into too much detail here, but I figured if I pissed her off enough, she'd leave me be. I think I accomplished that. I've received no communication from her in several days. Today I took the step of blocking her email address, and I'm considering closing down my email account if she attempts to contact me through another means. I appreciate the messages from everyone encouraging me to take action. I'm resolute in cutting ties with her. The ghosting is back. Browse. Oh. Also, some of you have asked me about the girl who called me her mountain man while she has been dying to come visit me. So I'll see her over the holidays. We will see how that goes. Also, have another sweet lady I just met, and I'm going to go out with her this weekend. Life is good. Fourth update OP posted the latest update 2 months ago. Final word on this. I bumped into the ex at the airport, and that is where she talked to me about my Reddit posts. Not sure which one she saw since I had updates. But I'm talking a year ago when this happened. How did she find my post? A mutual friend who I shared my post with gave her the link to it. Obviously, I'm no longer friends with him as I shared this in confidence, which I thought I made clear. I now have a policy of getting rid of all negative people and drama queens I encounter immediately. Either way, the cat is out of the bag, and if it creates her distancing herself with me, then that's a great outcome. Otherwise, I have turned the corner. It's great to hear that you've moved forward and are living your best life. Experiencing and overcoming challenges can indeed be a powerful catalyst for personal growth. Wishing you continued success and happiness in all your endeavors. If sharing your story helps others reflect on their own actions and choices, it may contribute to positive change. Thank you for sharing your journey, and may your future be filled with joy and fulfillment, but it seems unlikely. If anyone's getting confused about the timeline, just know that everything between the main story and the last update went down over a 2-year span. Let's check out the comments before we wrap this up. A user wrote, "A friend of mine went through what you were going through at the moment. Only difference was he was engaged, not married. He ghosted her immediately as he found out, and her affair fog disappeared. She was distraught and went into severe depression for months. Missed him like crazy. Contacted his family and friends for months to apologize to anyone who knew. Most people condemned her initially, but she took it like a pro. I liked her, actually. She was friendly, funny, and was great to hang around with. Like she would actually make an effort to know his friends. She had few of her own while he had lots. She found him and apologized a lot. He didn't accept her, but they started chatting. He was loving his life career-wise, freedom-wise, and had lots of girlfriends. He told her that he had enough women for a lifetime. It seems like the person you're talking about was involved with women who, despite being attractive, didn't possess the same aura as his ex. Despite feeling envious and sad, the ex continued to stay in touch with him. Later, he revealed that he started a physical relationship with her without emotional involvement. One noteworthy condition she imposed was for him to be safe with others and not to engage in intimate relations with her, if he had slept with others within a week's time. So basically, he was sleeping around while she wasn't at all except him. After 2 years' time or less, I saw him with her having coffee while holding hands, while she was looking at him with devotion and adoration. I was actually glad, and when I met them, I was actually nice to her. Apparently, I was the only one who was nice to her when she came to me initially. That was 3 years ago. Now they are re-engaged and quite happy. She had actually changed. The thing is, she passed the test to redemption, according to him, which was quite painful for her, seeing him with other girls and her patience to be able to answer tough questions whenever he wanted. It appears that the person would taunt his ex about past experiences, perhaps outings or holding hands, during activities like shopping. Despite being startled, the ex would calmly respond, denying the specific experiences mentioned by the person. These incidents continued for about a year until he ran out of questions. So, friends, I believe in reconciliation, but the efforts by the wayward spouse should be genuine. Good luck. Opie replied, "That's not the road I would take, but glad it worked out for him." Another reply, "That is actually a very, very sweet story. If my wife or GF ever cheated on me, the only way I would consider taking her back would be if she did something like this." Another comment, "She found out what most cheaters do not or will not understand. The grass is dead when you cheat with another cheater. The whole relationship with cheaters are built on lies, deceptions, and ego. You are doing the right thing, and that's a wrap for today." Dear viewers, don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss out. Until next time, take care. Bye. I canceled my wedding while my fiance was vacationing with her ex. After she said, "It's just a friend trip. Stop being so insecure and controlling." But her call, 5 weeks later, really surprised me. Hey everyone! Before we jump into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel is losing some traction, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and it helps us keep bringing you awesome content. Your support means the world. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks so much. Now let's start the video. Guys, I've been lurking on this sub for years, but never thought I'd have a story worth posting. Well, life had other plans. This happened over the past few months, and I'm still processing how perfectly everything worked out. Grab some popcorn because this is a long one, but trust me, the ending is worth it. Let me set the scene. I-35 male, and I work as a senior financial advisor at one of those big investment firms you've definitely heard of. Been grinding in finance for over a decade, and it's finally paying off big time. I'm pulling in about $220,000 base salary plus bonuses that can double that in good years. Own a sick downtown penthouse, drive a BMW M5, got my investment portfolio looking healthy. Basically living the dream I worked my butt off for since college. My ex-fiancée, Ashley, 29 female, was, well, let's just say she had different priorities in life. We met 4 years ago at this charity gala my firm sponsored. She was working the event as some kind of coordinator, looked absolutely stunning in this red dress that probably cost more than most people's rent. I'm talking magazine cover gorgeous. Blonde hair, perfect smile, body that obviously spent serious time at expensive gyms. I was immediately smitten. She had this laugh that could light up a room and this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the world when she talked to you. Classic case of thinking with the wrong head, but hey, we've all been there. Our first few dates were incredible. She knew all the best restaurants, had opinions about fancy stuff I'd never even heard of, always looked like she stepped out of a fashion magazine. I was impressed by her sophistication, and she seemed genuinely interested in my work, asking smart questions about markets and investments. Red flag number one should have been when I found out she was living in this tiny studio apartment in a rough part of town, struggling to make rent on her event coordinator salary. But she played it off like she was just getting started and had big dreams. I bought it completely. Within 3 months, she was spending most nights at my place. My roommate brings guys over all the time, and it's so awkward, she'd say. Plus, your place is so much nicer and quieter for working on my business plans. Business plans. Right. 6 months in, she was basically living with me full time. Never officially moved in, just slowly took over my space. Started with a toothbrush, then some clothes, then suddenly half my closet was full of designer dresses I'd never seen her buy. When I asked about it, she'd say things like, "Oh, I got this for such a good deal," or "My friend works in fashion and hooked me up." The money stuff started small. "Can you grab dinner tonight? I'm between paychecks. My car payment is due and I'm a little short this month. I need to get my hair done for this big event, but I don't get paid until next week." Always had a reasonable explanation. Always promised to pay me back. Spoiler alert, she never paid me back. About a year into dating, Ashley quit her job. The story was that her boss was totally unreasonable, and the company was going nowhere. She needed to focus on building her personal brand as a lifestyle influencer and event planning consultant. Now, I'm not against entrepreneurship. I respect the hustle, but Ashley's version of building her brand seemed to involve a lot of yoga classes, shopping for content creation, and taking photos of her daily routine. Her Instagram had maybe 2,000 followers, mostly friends and random dudes sliding into her DMs. But I was making good money, and honestly, coming home to a beautiful woman who kept my place clean and cooked dinner sometimes felt worth it. She was great company, amazing in bed, and seemed genuinely happy when I succeeded at work. I thought I was living the bachelor dream. The proposal happened 18 months ago at this exclusive restaurant downtown. I'd been saving up for months and dropped $18,000 on a custom ring from this fancy jeweler Ashley had mentioned, just browsing it several times. When I got down on one knee, she literally started crying and screaming, "Yes!" loud enough for the whole restaurant to hear. She posted about it for weeks afterward. Professional photos of the ring, videos of her engagement story, posts about being a future wife, and how blessed she was. The engagement post got more likes than anything she'd ever shared. I should have realized that was what excited her most about it. If I thought Ashley was high maintenance before, engagement turned her into a complete monster. Everything had to be perfect, Instagram worthy, and expensive. Really expensive. "Jake, we can't have our wedding at some basic venue. This is our special day, and we need it to reflect who we are as a couple." Who we were as a couple, apparently, was people who spent $75,000 on a single day. The venue she picked was this exclusive country club that charged $12,000 just to reserve the space. The catering started at $150 per person, and that was for the basic package. The photographer she insisted on was some Instagram famous guy who charged $5,000 for a wedding shoot. But babe, look at his portfolio. Our photos are going to be absolutely stunning. This is an investment in our memories. Every conversation about the wedding ended with the same line. You want our wedding to be beautiful, don't you? Like I was some monster for suggesting we could have a beautiful wedding without taking out a second mortgage. The dress shopping was a 3-month ordeal. Ashley tried on dresses at 5 different boutiques, each one more expensive than the last. The one she finally chose was $4,200 for a dress she'd wear once. It's my dream dress, Jake. I've been picturing my wedding day since I was a little girl. You can't put a price on dreams. Apparently you can. The price was exactly $4,200. But the real kicker was how she talked about our future during this time. Ashley had big plans for our married life. We'd need a bigger place, obviously. My penthouse was cute, but not really suitable for entertaining. We'd need a vacation home somewhere warm for weekend getaways and content creation. Kids would need private schools and nannies because Ashley's business was really taking off, and she couldn't be tied down with childcare. Her business, by the way, was still posting lifestyle content to 2,500 Instagram followers, and occasionally helping plan baby showers for friends, for free. I started doing math in my head and realizing that Ashley's vision of our life required about double my current income. When I brought this up, she'd get defensive. I'm building something, Jake. You can't expect overnight success. Some of the biggest influencers took years to make it big, and when I do, we'll be set for life. Meanwhile, she was spending money like she was already a celebrity. New outfits for content creation, expensive skincare for her glow-up journey, professional photography sessions to invest in her brand. All on my credit cards, obviously, since her influencer income was maybe $300 a month from random sponsored posts. About 3 months ago, Ashley started acting different. She'd always been glued to her phone, but suddenly she was secretive about it. Quick to flip it face down when I walked into the room, taking calls in the other room, staying up late, responding to comments that apparently required a lot of giggling. She also suddenly became obsessed with working out. Started going to this expensive boutique gym that charged $200 a month, got a personal trainer, began posting transformation content. Nothing wrong with fitness, but Ashley had never shown interest in anything more strenuous than yoga before. Then came the shopping sprees. New workout clothes, designer athletic wear, expensive sneakers. I need to look good for my fitness content, Jake. This is my brand now. About a month into this new health kick, she started mentioning Tyler. Tyler was apparently this guy from college who'd reached out on Instagram after seeing her engagement announcement. He was back in town working for some big investment bank, making serious money, living the high life. You'd probably like him, Jake. He's really successful too. He actually gave me some great advice about building wealth and investing. This should have been red flag number 50, but I was busy with work and honestly, I trusted Ashley. 4 years together, engaged, planning our future. Why would I think she was up to something? The girls' night started ramping up. Ashley would go out with her sister Megan and their friend group at least twice a week, always to expensive places. Rooftop bars, exclusive clubs, high-end restaurants. Places that would cost $200 plus per person easy. Don't worry, babe, the girls are treating tonight, she'd say. But Megan works as an administrative assistant, and their other friends have similar jobs. None of them were making the kind of money to afford these places regularly. Ashley started coming home later and later from these nights out. Used to be home by midnight, then 1 a.m., then 2 a.m. Always had explanations, though. We got to talking and lost track of time. The Uber wait was forever. Sarah was having boy drama and needed to vent. She'd always come home in a great mood, too, talking about how much fun she had, how great it was to have girl time, how lucky she was to have such amazing friends. Looking back, she was way too happy for someone who was supposedly having doubts about our relationship. 3 weeks ago, everything came to a head. We had an appointment that Sunday to do the final walkthrough of our wedding venue. I'd already put down deposits totaling over $8,000 between the venue, catering, and photographer. Ashley seemed nervous all week, which I attributed to normal wedding stress. Thursday night, she dropped the bomb. Jake, I need to talk to you about something important. We were sitting on my couch after dinner, some Netflix show playing in the background. Ashley was fidgeting with her engagement ring, wouldn't make eye contact. I've been doing a lot of thinking lately, and I feel like maybe we're rushing into this wedding. Rushing? We'd been engaged for 18 months. I love you, I do, but I just feel like maybe I need some time to really think about what I want, about who I am outside of this relationship. My stomach dropped. What are you saying, Ashley? I'm saying I need space. Real space. Like, I think I should stay somewhere else for a while, and we should take a break from talking so I can really figure out my feelings. How long are we talking here? Just a few weeks. Maybe a month. I know it sounds scary, but I think it'll be good for both of us. We can both take time to really think about whether this is what we want. The way she said it, so rehearsed and practiced, made it clear this wasn't a spur of the moment decision. She'd been planning this. And you want zero contact during this time? I think that's best. If we're talking all the time, I won't really get the space I need to think clearly. I sat there for a minute, processing. Part of me wanted to fight for us, to ask what I'd done wrong, to beg her to reconsider. But something in her tone, in the way she was looking anywhere but at me, told me this decision was already made. Okay, Ashley, if that's what you need, I'll respect that. She looked almost surprised that I didn't argue. Really? You're okay with this? I'm not okay with it, but I love you enough to give you what you're asking for. She packed that night. 2 huge suitcases, way more than you'd need for a few weeks. Took her makeup collection, her favorite clothes, her laptop, even some of the decorative stuff she'd brought into my place over the years. I'll stay with Megan, she said. I'll text you when I'm ready to talk. She left her key on the kitchen counter and walked out of my life. The first week was brutal. My penthouse felt like a museum. Ashley had gradually filled it with her presence over 4 years. Her coffee mug in the sink, her shoes by the door, her skincare products covering the bathroom counter. Suddenly, it was just empty space and silence. I threw myself into work, hit the gym every day, tried to stay busy, respected her wishes completely. No texts, no calls, no driving by Megan's place, even though I was tempted. I figured if I gave her exactly what she asked for, maybe she'd realize what we had was worth fighting for. But I'm not stupid. Something about the whole situation felt off. Ashley wasn't the type to make impulsive decisions, and this whole space to think thing came out of nowhere. So I started paying attention. Ashley rarely posts on social media, but Megan is one of those people who documents everything. Every meal, every outfit, every random thought gets posted. Usually I scroll past her stuff, but I started actually looking. Day 3 of the break. Megan posts a story from some fancy steakhouse downtown. Group of girls around a table, but there's clearly a guy's arm in the shot. Expensive watch, nice shirt, definitely not a girl's night. Day 5, beach day photos. Ashley in a bikini I'd never seen before, looking tanned and relaxed. The caption mentions, amazing weather with amazing people, with a bunch of heart emojis. Day 8, the smoking gun. Megan posts a group photo from some rooftop bar. And there, clear as day, is Ashley laughing and leaning into some guy I recognize from her old college photos. Tyler, the friend who'd been giving her investment advice. I screenshot everything before the stories disappeared. Started going through Tyler's public Instagram profile, and holy crap, this guy was living large. Porsche, Rolex, vacations in the Hamptons, dinners at restaurants I'd need a month's salary to afford, and in his recent stories, Ashley. Multiple photos of them together, looking very much like a couple. The space to think was actually space to audition for a richer boyfriend. I felt like an idiot. All those expensive girls' nights, the new clothes, the sudden interest in fitness and wealth-building advice. She'd been planning this for months. But here's the thing. I'm not some emotional wreck who falls apart when life hits hard. I'm a financial advisor. I deal with risk management and strategic planning for a living. And Ashley had just made the biggest strategic error of her life. Once I understood what was really happening, something cold and analytical took over. Ashley wanted to play games? Fine. But she picked the wrong guy to manipulate. I started by documenting everything. My penthouse? Mortgage and lease are 100% in my name. Ashley never contributed a dollar to rent, utilities, or the down payment. Legally, she was just a long-term guest who'd now moved out. Those wedding deposits? $4,200 for the venue, $3,800 for catering, $2,500 for photography, all from my personal checking account, all with my name on the contracts. I had every receipt, every email confirmation. But the real eye-opener was reviewing 4 years of credit card statements. The $2,800 espresso machine Ashley absolutely needed for her morning routine. The $2,200 stand mixer for the baking content she was going to create, used exactly twice. The $3,800 camera equipment for her influencer dreams. The $1,500 wardrobe for content creation. All of it on my cards. All of it legally mine. Then there was the joint credit card I'd stupidly gotten her 6 months ago. For emergencies and business expenses, I'd said like a complete sucker. I logged into the account and nearly choked. Ashley had racked up $7,200 in charges over the past 2 months. $450 at some boutique for a content creation outfit. $320 for a spa day because she needed to de-stress. 180 dinners at high-end restaurants during her girls' nights. $250 for professional makeup application before her friend dates with Tyler. She'd been funding her audition for a new boyfriend with my money. I didn't cancel the card immediately, though. I wanted to see how far she'd take it. Turns out, pretty far. Over the next week, she charged another $800. Fancy dinners, expensive cocktails, even a $200 massage after what was obviously a romantic weekend getaway. Meanwhile, I started making quiet preparations. Called my lawyer friend David to understand my rights regarding shared property. Spoiler, we didn't have any. Got copies of all financial documents. Even looked into what happens to engagement rings when engagements end, legally mine in our state. I also started calling wedding vendors. Not to cancel yet, just to review our arrangements. Wanted to understand cancellation policies, refund options, timing requirements. Knowledge is power, and I was gathering intel. The hardest part was waiting, but I knew Ashley would be back eventually. Girls like her always want their cake and eat it too. They don't leave until they're sure they've secured the upgrade, and they always want to keep the old option as backup just in case. 4 weeks. That's how long Ashley's few weeks of thinking actually lasted. I'd started to wonder if she was just going to disappear completely and run off into the sunset with Tyler. Then my phone rang. Unknown number, but somehow I knew exactly who it was. Jake! Hi! Super cheerful, like we'd just talked yesterday. I hope you're doing well. I've been doing a lot of soul searching these past few weeks. That's nice, Ashley. How's Megan's place? Oh, it's fine. A little cramped, but it gave me the space I needed to really think about us, about our future. Uh-huh. And what conclusions did you reach? Well, that's actually why I'm calling. I realized that what we have is really special, Jake. Like, really special. I know I needed some time to figure things out, but now I'm ready to come home and start planning our wedding again. The audacity was breathtaking. That's interesting, Ashley, because I've been doing some thinking too. Oh, good. I was hoping you'd use this time productively too. We should probably push the wedding back a few months to give us more time to plan, but actually, Ashley, I've decided our relationship is over. Silence. Complete silence for like 10 seconds. What? Jake, what are you talking about? We agreed this was just a break so I could think things through. Right. And you thought things through. With Tyler. At expensive restaurants. Using my credit card. What? Jake, Tyler is just a friend. I don't know what you think you saw, but I saw Megan's Instagram stories, Ashley. You and Tyler looking very cozy at multiple romantic dinners over the past month, while you were supposedly taking space to think about us. Those weren't dates. Tyler was just helping me work through some stuff, giving me advice. Advice about what? How to trade up to a richer boyfriend? That's not... Jake, you're being paranoid. Tyler and I are just friends. He understands what I'm going through because he's been in similar situations. The gaslighting was incredible. Similar situations like cheating on his fiancée. I wasn't cheating. We were on a break. A break you asked for so you could explore other options without feeling guilty about it. That's not true. Jake, please, you're misunderstanding everything. I love you. I want to marry you. Tyler doesn't mean anything to me. Then why have you been spending my money taking him on dates for the past month? I wasn't. Those charges were for other things. Girls' nights, self-care, networking events. Ashley, I have the credit card statements. $180 for 2 people. $320 spa packages. $450 for new clothes right before your romantic weekend getaway. You've been funding your affair with my money. It wasn't an affair, and that's our credit card. No, Ashley, it's my credit card that I added you to. Speaking of which, consider yourself removed from it as of today. You can't do that. Jake, please, we need to talk about this in person. I can explain everything. There's nothing to explain. You asked for space, you got it. You used that space to cheat on me while spending my money. Now you want to come back because... What? Tyler didn't work out the way you hoped? Tyler has nothing to do with this. Jake, I'm coming over so we can talk face to face. No, you're not. I changed the locks. You what? I changed the locks on my apartment. You moved out a month ago, remember? You don't live here anymore. My stuff is still there. My clothes, my skincare routine, my espresso machine. Ah, yes, the espresso machine. I was wondering when that would come up. Your stuff is still here, you're right. You can coordinate a time to come get it. But just so we're clear, that espresso machine stays here. I bought it with my credit card for my apartment. I picked it out. We used it together. It's as much mine as yours. You got 3 years of $8 lattes out of it, Ashley? I'd say you got your money's worth. This is insane, Jake. You can't just kick me out and steal my things. I'm not stealing anything. I'm keeping property I purchased in my apartment that I pay for. You're welcome to come get your actual belongings, though. What about my ring? What about our wedding? We sent save the dates. The ring comes back to me since you broke our engagement. And about that wedding, I paused for dramatic effect. I canceled everything. Venue, catering, photographer, all of it. You canceled our wedding? She was full on screaming now. Without even talking to me? I canceled my wedding, Ashley. The one I was paying for 100%. Since you were busy auditioning for Tyler's wedding instead, I figured you wouldn't mind. Yeah, this is crazy. You're being completely unreasonable. I'll sue you. For what exactly? Canceling vendors I was paying for? Keeping my possessions in my apartment? Good luck finding a lawyer who will take that case. Jake, please, you're making a huge mistake. What Tyler and I have, it's nothing. You're the one I love. You're the one I want to marry. Funny how you realized that right after your month-long audition with him. How'd that work out, by the way? He didn't propose? Silence again. Then, in a much smaller voice. It wasn't like that. Sure it wasn't. Text me when you want to come get your stuff, Ashley. And bring the ring. I hung up and immediately blocked her number. My phone started buzzing with texts from unknown numbers. Probably her using different phones or apps to try to reach me. I blocked those too. For the first time in a month, I felt like I could breathe. I spent Friday getting my life back in order. Changed the locks first thing in the morning. Cost me $350 but worth every penny for the peace of mind. Then I tackled the bigger project, separating Ashley's stuff from mine. 4 years of cohabitation had created a lot of gray areas. Her clothes were obviously hers. Her makeup collection, which could stock a small pharmacy, was clearly hers. But what about the throw pillows she'd bought for us? The decorative vases that made the place more homey? The expensive cookware she'd insisted we needed? I was strategic about it. Anything that was clearly personal to her went in boxes by the front door. Everything else, everything I'd paid for, everything that was already in my place when she moved in, everything we'd bought together with my money, stayed exactly where it was. The espresso machine remained on the kitchen counter. The stand mixer stayed in its cabinet. The camera equipment lived in the spare room. All mine, all staying. Saturday afternoon, right on schedule, the building's front desk called up. Mr. Richardson, you have visitors? Send them up. I watched through the security camera as the elevator opened. Ashley looked terrible, like she'd been crying for days straight. No makeup, hair in a messy ponytail, wearing clothes I'd never seen before that looked like they came from Target. She wasn't alone, though. Megan was there looking hostile as always, and some guy I didn't recognize. Probably backup in case I got aggressive. I opened the door before they could knock. Ashley. Right on time. Jake. She tried to smile, but it came out more like a grimace. Thank you for agreeing to let me get my things. Your stuff is right here by the door. I gestured to the boxes I'd stacked up. I tried to be thorough. Her eyes immediately went to the kitchen, where the espresso machine was sitting in its usual spot. You didn't pack my coffee machine. Because it's not your coffee machine, Ashley. I bought it with my credit card for my apartment. But I picked it out. I'm the one who researched all the different models. I'm the one who used it every morning. And you got 3 years of perfect coffee out of it. That's a pretty good return on investment for $0 invested. Megan stepped forward with her fake, concerned voice. Jake, this is really petty. Ashley made a mistake, but that doesn't mean you get to steal her stuff. I'm not stealing anything, Megan. Everything in those boxes belongs to Ashley. Everything staying here belongs to me. There's a difference. The random guy they'd brought started loading boxes without saying a word. Smart move staying out of the drama. Ashley was still fixated on the kitchen. What about my vitamins? My protein powder? My special shampoo? If it's not in the boxes, it's not yours, Ashley. You're being vindictive. That shampoo costs $80 a bottle. Then you should have thought about that before you decided to cheat on me. I didn't cheat. We were on a break. A break you engineered so you could test drive Tyler without technically cheating. Very clever. Megan jumped back in. Ashley was going through a difficult time, Jake. She needed space to figure out her feelings. That's normal in relationships. What's not normal is using that space to date other people while spending your fiancé's money to fund it. Ashley's face was getting red. Those charges were for legitimate expenses. Are $180 for two people legitimate expenses? I had to eat at the most expensive restaurants in the city with Tyler. The guy loading boxes was trying really hard to pretend he couldn't hear us arguing. What about my ring? Ashley asked, holding out her hand like she expected me to just hand over an $18,000 piece of jewelry. What about it? You can't just keep it, Jake. We were engaged. We were engaged. Past tense. You ended that when you decided to shop around for someone with more money. I never said anything about money. You didn't have to, Ashley. Tyler's Instagram says it all. Porsche, Rolex, Hamptons vacations. Real subtle. She was starting to cry now. It wasn't about money. Tyler he understood me in ways that you didn't. I'm sure he did. Rich guys are very understanding when a beautiful woman wants to spend their money. That's not what happened. Then what did happen, Ashley? Explain to me how a month of romantic dinners and weekend getaways with your ex was you thinking about our relationship. She opened her mouth like she was going to answer, then closed it again. Because there was no good answer. The ring, Ashley? Now. She finally reached into her purse and pulled out the ring box. At least she'd kept it safe. You're making the biggest mistake of your life, Jake. I chose you. Over Tyler. Over everyone else. I chose you. No, Ashley, you chose Tyler. I'm just not available as your backup plan anymore. It took them another hour to load everything. Ashley kept finding excuses to come back in, claiming she'd forgotten things, asking about items that were obviously mine. Each time I'd calmly explain that if it wasn't in the boxes, she wasn't taking it. As they were leaving with the last load, Ashley turned back one more time. You'll regret this, Jake. Tyler treats me like a queen. He appreciates me in ways you never did. I'm sure he does, Ashley. Enjoy it while it lasts. I closed the door and engaged all three deadbolts. The silence was amazing. For the first time in a month, my space felt like mine again. That was 4 months ago. And guys, the karma has been absolutely beautiful to watch unfold. Tyler? Yeah. Turns out investment bankers who date Instagram influencers aren't looking for long-term relationships. According to mutual friends and Ashley's increasingly desperate social media posts, he kept her around for about 8 weeks before getting bored. Apparently, the novelty of having a hot girlfriend to show off wore thin once he realized she brought nothing to the table except looks and expensive tastes. The final straw was when Ashley started hinting about moving in together and maybe getting engaged soon. Tyler ghosted her completely after that conversation. Ashley tried going back to Megan's place, but that lasted exactly 2 weeks. Turns out, when you don't have a rich boyfriend paying for everything, your sister gets real tired of covering your rent, food, utilities, and entertainment expenses, especially when you're constantly complaining about how unfairly life is treating you. Then came the job hunt. 4 years of being completely financially supported had left Ashley with basically zero work experience. The boutique where she used to work wouldn't take her back. Her influencer career was still stuck at 3,000 followers and making maybe $200 a month. She ended up taking a job at a customer service call center, making $16 an hour, from designer dinners to a cubicle overnight. The adjustment was rough. But here's where the story gets really interesting. About 6 weeks after our moving day confrontation, my phone started ringing. Unknown numbers, which I always let go to voicemail now. The messages started off casual. Hey Jake, it's Ashley. I know you're probably still upset, but I was hoping we could talk. I have some things I want to explain. Jake, I really think there's been a misunderstanding about everything that happened. Can you please call me back? When I didn't respond to those, they got more desperate. Jake, I know I made mistakes, but I really think we should talk. I miss you. Please don't ignore me, Jake. I know you're getting these messages. I just want to explain my side of things. I'm really struggling right now, and you're the only person who's ever really understood me. Still didn't respond. Ashley started showing up at my building. The doorman has strict instructions not to let anyone up without my approval, but she'd wait in the lobby trying to catch me coming home from work. I'd see her through the security cameras and just use the garage entrance instead. The text messages from random numbers started getting more pathetic. Jake, please, I made a terrible mistake. I can't afford my rent. I'm going to get evicted. My car payment is overdue and they're threatening to repossess it. I have no one else to turn to. You're the only person who ever really cared about me. I know I don't deserve help, but I'm desperate. The desperation was honestly kind of sad, but I stayed strong. This was exactly what she deserved. Then came the masterpiece. A handwritten letter slipped under my door. Jake, I know I hurt you terribly, and I'm so sorry. I was confused and scared about getting married, about my future, about everything. Tyler was just a distraction. A stupid, meaningless distraction from my real feelings. You were always the one I really loved, the one I wanted to build a life with. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm begging you to give me one more chance. I've lost my job, I'm about to be evicted, and I have nowhere else to go. I made the biggest mistake of my life and I'll do anything to fix it. Please, I need you. Ashley. I posted a photo of the letter in our old college friend group chat with the caption, "Some people never learn." Even her own friends were roasting her in the comments. But the absolute best part happened 2 weeks ago. I was at this new upscale restaurant downtown with some clients when I spotted a familiar blonde head across the dining room. Ashley was on what was obviously a first date with some average-looking guy in a wrinkled shirt who kept checking his phone like he was bored. She looked rough. Cheap clothes from Target or wherever, drugstore makeup, stress eating evident in her face and body. This was not the polished, sophisticated woman I'd fallen for 4 years ago. She saw me and her face went completely white. I was wearing a new custom suit, had my Omega watch on, clearly thriving. My clients were impressed with the restaurant choice, and we were having a great business dinner. She excused herself from her date and actually walked over to our table. "Jake? Oh my goodness, you look incredible." "Ashley." I kept my voice polite but cold. "How's the influencer career going?" "Oh, it's challenging. The market is really saturated right now." She glanced back at her table where her date was now openly scrolling through his phone. "Listen, I know this is awkward, but do you think we could talk sometime? Maybe grab coffee?" "I don't think that's a good idea." "Aren't you on a date?" It's nothing serious. Jake, I really miss what we had. I think about you every day. About us. That's unfortunate. I know I messed up terribly, but I've learned so much about myself these past few months. About what really matters in life. And what's that, Ashley? That money and status don't matter. That real love, genuine connection is more important than anything material. I almost laughed out loud. Right. You figured that out after Tyler dumped you and you couldn't find anyone else to pay your bills. It wasn't like that, Jake. Please, I'm really struggling here. My life is falling apart, and you're the only person who's ever really taken care of me, who's ever really loved me. Ashley, I supported you for 4 years, paid for everything you ever wanted, gave you a lifestyle you never could have afforded on your own. And the second you thought you found a better deal, you were gone. That's not love. That's just high-end prostitution. Her face crumpled. Please don't say that. I did love you. I do love you. No, Ashley, you loved my bank account. There's a difference. I stood up and put $200 on the table for our meal. Good luck with your date. Try not to mention how your ex used to pay for everything. Most guys find that a turnoff. As I walked away, I could hear her starting to cry. I drove home to my beautiful penthouse, made myself a perfect cappuccino with that $2,800 espresso machine, and reflected on how much better my life had become. See, here's the thing about gold diggers. They always think they're playing chess when they're really just playing themselves. Ashley thought she could have her cake and eat it too. Keep me as the safe option while test driving someone richer. But she overplayed her hand spectacularly. Now I'm dating Sarah, a successful pediatric surgeon who makes more money than I do and has zero interest in my financial support. Someone who pays for her own dinners, buys her own clothes, and chose me for who I am, rather than what I can provide. Ashley, meanwhile, is learning what it's like to actually work for a living, to pay her own bills, to live within her means. The entitlement and arrogance that made her think she deserved a luxury lifestyle just for being pretty has crashed headfirst into the reality of adult responsibility.